Welcome back to I Am Unfiltered, where we talk about the real stories, the real challenges, and the real wins in our industry. I'm Lindy Tentinger, and I'm joined with my friend Ike Isaacson. And today we are going to dive into one of our guiding principles at VGM, which is the power of one. And let me first start by saying this is the second time we're recording this podcast. We're a little bit late to our episode 2 because we recorded this one. Ike, when was that? September?
I think so.
It was September and it was so good, you guys. And so it's like a rant for us to have to re-record it, but we're gonna do it and we're gonna do our best. But let's just say we had such a great episode for you and we're starting over. But we're not gonna change the topic, and the topic is this principle of power of one. And it is something that was rolled out at VGM several years ago, probably more than that because years go so fast. But what it really means is that while as a group we can make a huge difference, it really starts with every action or inaction, every email, every thought, every word, every conversation that each of us has individually. It all matters. And so when you add that all up across an organization like VGM or your family or your community, an industry, or even a country, the impact is massive. So we're going to talk about that today.
Yes, we are going to talk about that. That is awesome. And no, this one's going to be awesome too. Like, I know the one we did before was good, but this one I think is going to be even better because at the end of the day, this power of one principle is what gets me fired up. I love this so much. And it's really cool because we all have our own experiences, our own backgrounds, and we all bring our own values, right? And our own history to a workplace. And when the values of that workplace align with your personal values and your personal focuses, it makes it so exciting. And when I'm out on the road, and people I know hate hearing me say this because I say it all the time, but man, like I've been at VGM for just shy of 9 years. There's not been a day I didn't want to come to work. There's days that are good, there's days that are great, there's days that are, but there's no other place I'd want to have a meh day than at VGM. And this power of one principle really to me is what it is. There's this cheesy line, I'll be honest, like it's the power of the wolf is in the pack and the power of the pack is in the wolf. And that's all that power of one mentality. Yeah, we all have these group goals, these group objectives, these things we want to accomplish as a company. But in order to do those things, each one of us needs to play our role to the best of our ability. And that's where that power of one comes in. It can get a little bit isolating sometimes, right? When for me, I'm in the process. I think I'm going to finish up in 2 weeks. I'll have traveled over 59,000 miles over the last 8, 9, 10 weeks. But recognizing that what I'm doing is contributing to a larger cause is something that's not unique to VGM. I think we really focus in on it. We've really harnessed that. But that's something that any company can really start to impart because when an employee takes that ownership, takes that their own personal power, it really leads to a lot of other things. And that kind of bleeds over into all of your other stuff besides just work. You're more active in your community, you're more active with your family, you're more engaged in those kinds of settings. And it just opens up this civic mindfulness that's a trait that I think is really a lot of what pulls people into this industry, into the DME industry, right? It's you think about what we do and what people do on a day-to-day basis that's not about them but how hard they work to make sure that other people can get what they need. I just think that's why it's not a coincidence, really, that there are so many amazing, powerful individuals that make up this collective whole of the industry. And it's what makes me excited to travel 59,000 plus miles and go out and see and talk and work on behalf of everybody and work side by side with everybody.
59,000 miles. That's a lot. It's a lot of time away. Ike said to me recently, I was in the Charlotte airport and I thought I was in Dallas.
Yeah,
And
I'm
I was like,
confused
that's
where
when
I
you
was a
know
couple
you've
of times.
traveled too much. It's when you're in one airport and think you're in the other.
Nah, it's all right. I'll figure it out as long as I get home.
It's so true. But I really think that at the end of the day, I know sometimes being motivated or being inspired, especially in the world that we live in today, there's a lot of stuff going on around us that it's not great all the time. Or then you look at the industry and there's unknowns and there are headwinds and there are things that we don't have answers to even at VGM and want to have answers to. And so it is easy to be like, yeah, I'm done being motivated, done being inspired. So whatever you guys have to say, like I count me out. But please hear us out today because I think that there's this little seed inside of each of us. And if it gets watered and planted just the right way, all of a sudden, like Ike said, it's like your whole life becomes different because you're truly harnessing the impact of what you can do as one individual. And that's how we show up every single day. I echo what you say, Ike, that I was just thinking to myself the other day, man, there's a lot going on right now. And I have a lot of people counting on me, not only at work, but at home. And sometimes harmony doesn't exist in both in either place. I like need harmony somewhere. And there's been some instances here in the past few weeks, months or so where I haven't had what feels like harmony in either place. And that's a hard place for me to operate because I like to have harmony somewhere. But I thought to myself the other day, man, remember how much you just love your job. Because I do. I truly love this industry and I love what it means for our loved ones and the care that honestly, I have a father in law right now who is in a nursing home and he keeps falling otherwise generally physically able to do everything, but he hasn't been able to. And then I have a mother-in-law who has Alzheimer's. And so every day is like Groundhog Day because one of us are picking her up, taking her there. She sits with him all day long in this one room with one bed. And then another one of us goes and picks her up and we sit and we visit for an hour and a half. Then we go and get her dinner, take her back home by herself, and then she forgets why he's there, why she's alone, when he's coming back. I mean, we're in the grind. People don't teach us about this phase in life where we become caregivers for our parents and we really live through some hard things taking care of them, and there's decisions that are made that are hard. But I go there and I see his oxygen machine and it says new care on it. I see his wheelchair, actually said Aero Care on it. That logo was still on his wheelchair the other day that I noticed. And I just thought to myself, like, this is real life. This is what we do. And this is what you said, why people get into this industry because it's helping people at their most vulnerable state and it's helping caregivers. And that's really where our work matters. And just showing up every day makes a difference.
Yeah, and even within those hard times, Lindy, too, as I haven't gone through that with grandparents, and eventually I'll be there with my folks too. And I hope that I can exercise my power of one by being there like you're being there and like your husband is being there, right? There, it's obviously challenging. And to your point about harmony, right? When things are out of balance or out of whack, a lot of times that's when we can fall back to our values, right? And this is a horrible thing that I have to do. And I don't like the reason I have to do it, but man, do I get to exercise my power of one to show my caring, to show my compassion, to show my intent here to try to make things better. And yeah, you know, what I mean, it's so funny. We've got these opportunities all around us if you're looking for them, right? If we're open to the idea that even in a bad moment, even in a dark spot, even in, a bad experience, staying open to utilizing my power and the thing that I can contribute. And it may not be much, right? It may not be this huge grand gesture. In 99% of the time, nobody sees it and nobody's going to comment on it. But that's not why we do it. We do it because that's how we're built. That's how we think. And I think a lot of times, to your point about things don't feel great all the time. And right now, being the government guy, I know I make it look cool, but oh my gosh, right? There's just so much chaos happening. But if I can take a look at my role and if I can make sense out of the senseless, if I can create some order out of the chaos, that's my power. That's my power of one. And if I can bring that and make somebody feel just a little less chaotic or a little more harmonious in their workplace, that's really what drives it. And I think about the stories that I hear when I'm on the road from our amazing members about going into homes and providing, hope, and providing comfort, and providing socialization in some cases. There's so many of our people that we're serving that our members are the only ones they see. Or being able to deliver a piece of equipment that's just going to change the independence of a young child. We go into, as an industry, some not great situations, and we're not necessarily hanging out with people when they're at their best. But that power of one for our industry to be able to deliver on that in that home care space, again, it doesn't always feel great, but if we can take a step back and look at the impact and be intentional about that, that's what keeps people coming back every day, even when the job is draining, when the job takes a lot out of you emotionally, physically. That understanding that through the power that I have as an individual, I can create a ripple effect and really help support other people and make their days better. That's pretty powerful.
There's so many real stories of impact and where just someone doing the right thing makes a huge difference in ways we don't even see. I was talking to Gene, one of our members from Florida, just this week, and he's in a family owned company and it started as a pharmacy. His dad was a pharmacist, and he said growing up, we just understood that part of it was, yeah, we're open on Christmas and we need to get people what they need, their equipment, their supplies, their medicine on Christmas because they still need it. And it was funny because I said to him, I literally grew up the same way. It wasn't in a pharmacy, but it was an electric business where people need their electricity, especially in Iowa in the winter. And sometimes that meant holidays. And that's literally, my dad worked the same way. It's because it was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to help people when they needed help most. And that's how so many of providers, that's the mindset. And I love it. And I never want to see that service and that care for the patient because it's the right thing to do go away.
Yeah, and to your point, it's not midnight on Christmas Eve in Iowa when there's 3 feet of snow on the ground and it's -20. But with the headwinds that we're facing as an industry between competitive bidding and Medicaid reductions and those challenges that come about, it's really easy to get caught up in all of the angst. And I'm not saying there's not plenty of angst to go around, but again, it's something that kind of helps keep me grounded, helps keep me focused, is breaking this industry down to its basic core mission. How do we help people stay healthier at home? How do we create more independence? How do we create opportunities for a caregiver to be able to do their thing with their kids, knowing that mom and or dad are safe? How do we create an opportunity for a young child to ride a bike with his or her siblings, right? Yes, competitive bidding and rates and all that's the business part of it. And I'm not delusional. I know that that bears a huge burden, but going back for the motivation in those times where we're not feeling like getting up and getting going, of, hey, somebody needs me. That kid doesn't care that it's a challenge to get that equipment. That adult that's living in a memory care unit doesn't understand competitive bidding. That's our job. That's what we're going to fight. That's what we're going to work through. And as this industry has shown over and over again, we figure those things out. But at the core base of what we do, if we just take a, I keep talking about this, but taking a step back, just taking a deep breath, I get to help somebody live better today. That's pretty powerful as one person. That's a lot of power that we have as an individual.
Can't control just as people. And so figuring out the things in life that we can control and acting on those, I think, help our frame of mind, our mental health every single day. I have a daughter who does struggle with seasonal depression. And the one thing I've been helping her through lately, as the darkness is here in Iowa, is can you get outside today? And can you do one thing, just one thing for someone else? And then tell me what it is,
Yeah.
because there's so many things in this world she can't control, but she can control doing one thing for someone else, and that makes her feel better and it helps her be more civic minded. And I've said to her a lot as she worries about everything that's going on around her, and I said, yeah, I get it, it's a lot and there's a lot to worry about, but what can we do? What can you do? We're supposed to be charitable people helping each other out. So the latest thing she said was, I'd like to get some like big gallon baggies and put stuff in it for homeless people at the women's shelter. We have a organization here called House of Hope that VGM gives to a lot. And she just wanted to put like toiletries together. And I'm like, then do it. Like, just do it, because those are the things that it's little for us, but it makes a huge impact for just one person. That helps our mental state no matter what. Even if we're in the worst mental state, if you do two things, get outside and then do something for someone else, you automatically just feel better.
Yeah, and we all have those intentions, right? When we're not too caught up in our own heads, when we're not caught up in our own challenges, right? As individuals, we have the desire to be part of a group. And s- some days I don't. I would admit it. Like there's certain days. That's why I always joke. Like people are like, why do you live where you live? I'm like, because there's no people there. But I love being around people. But when I'm off, and but we have an intention of doing those things, and then we get to an end of the day, end of a week, end of the month, and maybe we don't feel like we've done anything because we've been so caught up in stuff. So the idea of what's that small thing? What can I do? What can I, what, because to your point, we can't control everything. I was just having a discussion, what's today, Tuesday, Sunday, with my son that's in the military, that's in the army, and with all the stuff that's happening with the government shutdown. And I'm like, hey, are you watching this? Are you going to get paid? When are you going to get paid? And I was shocked because his mother and I spent a ton of time thinking about it and worrying about it for him. And he just responded, he goes, I'll be honest, Dad. He goes, I don't even think about it. I've got a job to do. It's, oh, yeah, sometimes it's that simple. Yeah, it's not, but breaking it down to that elemental piece, that we can take our intention and turn it into action. It doesn't have to be this grandiose gesture. I said this earlier. It doesn't have to be this big thing, but throwing together a bag of toiletries and providing that to a shelter. Or this is some so silly. I don't know if these are all over the country because I don't grocery shop when I travel, but Aldi's grocery store, right? Like that they have all of the carts are linked, like they're connected. And in order to get a cart out, you have to put a quarter in, and then that releases it. And the first time I went with my wife and I was putting the cart back and I was trying to get the quarter out, she goes, just leave the quarter. Somebody else can use the cart. It doesn't need to cost them a quarter. I'm like, "Yeah, but it's a quarter." And she's like, it's fine. I'm like, but again, something silly, but something little. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. I don't know. I think that those are the kinds of things when we get caught up in ourselves and we get caught up thinking about the wrong things. It's those tiny things that can bring us back to our power and bring us back to our reason and bring us back to our motivation. And it's really easy right now for our industry to be down and to feel like we're being picked on and feel like we're the victims and feel, but at the end of the day, again, breaking it down, doing what we can do, controlling what we can control, serving the people, continuing to live our missions, we're going to figure something out. We're going to get through something. We're going to, as an industry, lean in. I have been so empowered personally traveling around the country, whether it's state association shows or other industry meetings, at the record attendance of all of these, that people are leaning in and leaning on one another to figure out what those next steps are. And if I could think of one thing that I can bring, and one of the things that I try to do every day, one of our power of one principles at VGM is find the fun in your day. I look for an opportunity every day to create some kind of laughter or some kind of lighthearted moment or some kind of enjoyable thing because I want other people to feel the same way walking into the building as I do walking into the building, just full of like gratitude and excitement for what the day is going to bring. Again, that sounds really Pollyanna. There are days that are not good. But again, I'd rather do those not good days with all of you than without all of you. Right? So what I hope down the road, when I'm long gone from VGM and it continues to thrive, somebody will be like, "Remember Ike? Like, that dude was funny. Like, he made me feel good. He made me feel like I belong." That's that legacy thought, right? Like, I don't spend a ton of time on it, but, like, I've had that asked me a couple of times. My kids will ask me that, like, what do you wanna be remembered for?" That's it, right? I wanna make people wanna be places. And that sounds silly, but what would happen if we all took that thing and moved forward with it and promoted it in those small little steps, turn them from intentions into actions and use our power? I think that'd be really cool. I'll even take that one step further. I want to throw a challenge out to everybody. I know we've been talking a lot about intentions and power and those little things that we can do. So I want to throw something out to everybody, and I want to challenge you to find that one thing that you can do that makes a difference for someone else. It may be a team member, it could be a family member, a customer, a friend of yours, or anybody. It could be a complete stranger, right? Leave that quarter in there at Aldi's so that the next person doesn't have to put a quarter in. Whatever that may be, I challenge you to find that opportunity sometime over the course of the next month. And then it'd really be cool if you'd share it with us. We'd love to hear those stories. Those are the things that get me going. Those are the things that make me excited about being out on the road and about being with everybody. So, yeah, my challenge is you turn an intention into an action and let us know. Tell us about it.
Anything that impacts, like in your day to day, where it's doing something extra for a patient or their family, or something that actually is stories that we can turn into advocacy. So selfishly also, but those stories, Kyle, I cannot hear them enough. They are the best stories that we could ever hear here in the world that we live in every day. So if you have a patient story, we would absolutely love to hear it. All right, that is our session on the power of one, and that one is you. It really is. Each one of us have the power within us, and you can look at Ike and I and be like, geez, they're so positive, or they're turning it all into what I can do, but honestly, it's who we are. And if us sharing and being a bit vulnerable impacts just one person that's listening or watching in this podcast, I speak for both of us that we feel like we've done our job. So thank you for turning in to I Am Unfiltered. Remember that the power of one is with you. Until next time, just keep being real, keep being you, and keep making an impact.